ADHD Babes, the podcast, a podcast hosted by the ADHD Babes community for the community. Please note, nothing mentioned during the podcast is meant as a diagnosis. If you believe you have ADHD, please seek professional advice and visit or join ADHDBabes.com for help with diagnosis. No clinical diagnosis is required to join. And now, you're listening to the next episode of ADHD Babes, the podcast.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of ADHD Babes, the podcast. Today's episode is hosted by me, Sabrina, and
by me, Ana Ramos.
And today we're going to be discussing corporate trauma and how to deal with it. So joining in on the discussion, we are joined by our guests, ADHD Babes, Jay and Joy. Hey.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome.
Welcome, everyone.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Corporate trauma can have long-lasting effects on all aspects of our health, including mentally and physically. There is a book called Right Within, How to Heal from Racial Trauma in the Workplace by Minda Harts. In the book, she talks a lot about psychological safety. And as an ADHD babe, what does it being psychologically safe in the workplace look like for you? Be nice to discuss. Sabrina?
For me, it's just being able to come as myself, being accepted for who I am, being valued for the work that I'm doing, and just being respected as a human being and just feeling comfortable as well. Like there's so many places that I've worked where I've just felt really uncomfortable and I'm like, do you need to make it this way? Like, honestly, like I've worked in so many places where it's like, oh, you need to be more friendly. You need to be like this. Da 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 da. And it's like, I am. Like, how can you not see like I'm so friendly, so down to earth, and then people like misunderstanding you, it just feels it's the worst feeling in the world. It's like, how do you not see all of the heart and soul that I bring to the team, all of the hard work that I'm putting in, just feeling visible and invisible at the same time. So for me, feeling psychologically safe is just feeling seen and just being like, Sabrina's here and she's a valued member of the team. So yeah.
Yeah, excellent. How about you, Joy?
So for me, being psychologically safe in a workplace will mean for me to not have to mask.
Yes.
I believe masking, especially for me, I've only been diagnosed at age 30 last year with ADHD and a few other comorbidities. So I don't know that everybody, even people who've been diagnosed much earlier on in life, I don't think it's completely possible to just unmask in a corporate setting because of all of the different rules and regulations that are clearly only made for neurotypical employees. But if the percentage of masking is very minimal, and if it's only to uphold that I guess that corporate setting, like I'm not at home, you're not my friends, there's a minimum decorum to have here. But yeah, I would definitely say unmasking, and I've never been granted the opportunity to do that. I'm currently still in a corporate burnout. I'm completely scared and would not go back as it stands to any office, no matter how much money you pay me. So
Yeah. And yeah, that's the same with me as well. Like there's one job in particular that I had. And like with you, like I'm literally scared to go back into any workplace. Like that was an office, but any workplace, like I'm just too scared, which I know doesn't make sense to anybody else, but literally like if I go on Indeed, I'm like, like literally like that place
and
blooming traumatized me.
I agree. And for me, the masking starts from interview stage.
Yeah.
It starts from the phone call, from even like my CV.
Yeah.
It starts there with the name, what name is acceptable, what name is not. And I got a traumatizing story for that. But I'll let Jay take the floor before I share.
Thank you, Joy.
So, what do I need for psychological safety? For me, I need the rules to be explicit. I need more of the rules to be explicit. I need more of the expectations to be explicit. And what you want, what you want me to do a good job, not just, we'll get back to you if something blows up. No, I need regular explicit feedback. I need regular explicit rules. Because so much of the time that ambiguity is what makes you feel unsafe. Is like, okay, do I have to code switch? Do I really need to do the how was your weekend thing? And if so, fine. But if I don't do it, am I no longer a team player? I need more of the rules to be explicit. And it doesn't mean that the company has to, create a list of rules and put them on the website someplace. But at least between me and my manager, I need you to be explicit about this is what it looks like to be successful in this role and like really mean it. And then regularly talk to me about that. Otherwise, I don't know how else I can feel safe because I don't do well with the unwritten, unspoken rule thing. I mean, I don't know if it's my ADHD. I suspect I am also somewhere on the autism spectrum. The more I read about it, I'm like, doggone it. I think I got that too. So for
High
me,
functioning.
yes. Well, they switched it from Asperger's and just lumped it all in. So I had to do an Asperger's book search to figure, oh, that's what this is. Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, that without those explicit rules, explicit expectations around how social you're expected to be, I really want to know whether or not I can make a mistake because they're like, it's okay, it's fine. But the reality of the situation is, okay, one or two, or, oh, well, you just made you picked the really wrong one, Jay. Like, and if I did, how do I fix it? Like, none of that gets spoken about because I'm gonna make a mistake, right? I might say the wrong thing in the middle of a meeting. And again, we don't need to have another meeting about what Jay said, but somebody else outside the meeting is talking about it. Come on, after it's over. So more than anything, I need leadership, especially the person who's over me and makes the decision about, do I move up in the company? Do I get a raise? I need somebody who can be very explicit about what their expectations are and then give me very explicit feedback on my performance. Because everybody touts that we value diversity and we value you as a person and you're more than the work that you do. If I am more than just the skills that I bring, then treat me like a human being. And like a human being wants to know when they've done well. And then if they messed up, they want to know how they can fix it and what not to do in the future. But if I don't have anybody to talk to that can give me the real deal about that in the company, I'm just floating, and ambiguity just makes my stomach hurt.
Yeah.
It literally makes we're talking about trauma. It literally makes I had a job where there was so much ambiguity that my stomach was a mess for months. Months.
Yeah.
And my best friend had to tell me, she's like, you recognize that all these stomach issues happened after this job. And I was like, she's like, because before this job, you could eat anything you want to eat. You used to make fun of my weak stomach, and now your stomach is weak. And it was quite literally, it was just, I'm out here floating. I'm working as hard as I know how to work. I'm showing up as much as I know how to show up. And I don't get an atta girl. That was great. Nothing. And then you get called into the office like it's the principal's office at school when you do something wrong. And I'm like, wait a minute, but you haven't put any deposits in that bank, right? You just want to critique me, but you put no compliment, support, feedback in the bank before you made a withdrawal. And that right there, that kills all my motivation in a work environment. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Honest. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me tell you right
No.
now, Jay, there's no such thing as it's okay to make a mistake in these corporate work environments. Yes. Especially if, like if you're not in I guess even the hospitality sector has their own sets of challenges and stuff. But
Yeah.
in the corporate world, it is a absolute no. And some of the times I found out like the ways in which I was not being, I guess, a team player in a workplace, because I used to work as a recruiter. I was working as a recruiter for almost 10 years, and I've had to fire people. Sometimes I used to recruit contractors at one point. And so when the hiring managers would give me the feedback, they would say, oh, well, they don't, they just don't fit the culture. They just don't fit the culture. And what is that culture? They never come out for drinks with us. They're always so quiet. So then I'm starting to, like, as I'm even taking this feedback and I'm supposed to let go of that person, first of all, that's not even feedback that I can feed back to somebody legally. The hiring manager has to tell me the real, and then I have to make up some ratatouille with whatever they've given me to go and dish that to the yes, to the employee. And sometimes me having to give some of that feedback was letting me know some of the things that I was doing and why I was getting so much attitude from my colleagues. I don't go out for
Wow.
drinks. I don't like drinking.
No.
And I had a drink problem when I was masking. Didn't know it was, my ADHD and my trauma. And I had sleep issues. So I'm not trying to drink for no reason. Also, we don't have the same financial responsibilities.
That's right.
You know,
That one right there.
Yes.
Yeah.
like financially, I'm taking care of that family member, this family member, that bills. You don't even know what it is to pay a bill in your own mother's house, so we can't even relate. Of course, you've got a after work budget every other day. Yeah, I don't even have £2 for lunch after what you not pay me. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's very difficult.
No,
Absolutely.
Very, very, very difficult. And back to the story I wanted to tell. It's, for example, the names. As a recruiter, I know it's getting better now. Unfortunately, thank God to George Floyd and them. But it's getting better now to come as yourself in terms of your name is your name. If it has 55 syllables that you gotta read, that is what's gonna go on the CV. And you're gonna have to open that CV or explain as to why you're discriminating against that candidate because of their birth name. But it wasn't okay. As a recruiter, there's names that the hiring managers would not even open their CV. So it was my job to let my close friends and family members, the do's and don'ts of everything I was finding out in that world. And when one of my sisters wanted to have her child, she decided to name him a Muslim name. And I kind of like told her, well, sis, like, what do you want for this child? Do you want this child to be unemployed? Do you want this child to have a life? Like, we're gonna have to think about giving that child a middle name for them to be able to use that middle name in a professional setting, which is why some of us have like names that don't even match our faces or skin colors. But I had that conversation with my sister and she was very upset. It didn't go well, but the name was very problematic because I had been in that world opening CVs, like just that corporate world. As I said, I've worked for some very big companies, and having that conversation was very difficult to navigate, but in the end she understood as I was able to give examples and added that name. And funny enough, fast forward to my nephew now, at nursery, that's the name. The middle name is the name that they use. They don't use his first name. They actually pick that middle name that they believe is acceptable to them to call that child, which is what he's called now, at school and in every other setting, just because it's easier. So it's
there's a
very
lot.
sad.
There's a lot. A lot to think about. I've never worked in the corporate sector myself. I worked as a civil servant, and a lot of the stuff that you have mentioned, I've just had, when you have like that flashback to everything that you're, oh, I remember that moment, or I remember that
Yeah.
time when I had to do this or I had to do that. And it touches all of us. Like, obviously I have a name that doesn't face it, doesn't, when you look at my name, it's a Spanish name. So, and they look at me and they think, oh wow, so why do you have a Spanish name? And then it starts a whole kind of explanation about my ethnicity, my background, my culture, everything,
Yeah.
which I don't really want to be having this, I'm proud of what I am and where I come from, but I don't want to be having this conversation with you who I don't know who you are. Like, you've just
Every
probably
time I
just
introduce
someone.
myself, like, come on.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you just want to come in and do your job, or if you feel comfortable, then yeah, you start talking about your background and who you are, and things like that. But not in every single setting that you come across. I mean, it happens to me all the time. Like, it's just not, it's not nice, and it's exhausting. But in respect of my own experiences, I work in a hybrid mode
Yeah.
at the moment. So I'm only in the office 1 day a week at the most. And I come into the office and I barely know anyone there, because all of my team members would decide to, come in a different day, or I come to in the day that it suits me best. And the culture in this environment is that you come in, you sit at your desk, and if you know the person you're sitting next to, you'll say hello. If you don't know that person, you don't say hello to them. And I find that really odd, because I'm going to be sitting next to you for the next 8 hours and you're not even going to say hello.
Yeah.
So
That's-
that was extremely difficult for me. I am a very bubbly person. I would at least say good morning, how are you? Small talk. That's, the least you can do. And then get on with my work. Don't talk to me.
yeah.
That's me. I'll put my headphones on, and then, I'll go to my meetings, and then I come back, and I enjoy, that's my environment. I enjoy that. I enjoy being left alone. But I also feel like you need that connection. You need to be able to know at least the name of the person you're sitting next to.
Yeah.
And that in itself can cause a lot of trauma. And a lot of people talk about this every single day. And they move around to teams until they find a team that they can actually fit in, where they feel like, oh, this is a little bit more comfortable. Like, people are more sociable, or people are more approachable, or they're nicer, or they find that one other person that they can build a friendship with at work. So yes, that's my bit I wanted to add on this point.
No, I love that.
That, yeah, that's really relatable as well. Like, I've had that before where I've worked in places and people have not said hello, and it feels horrendous. Like, I'm a really quiet person, so I don't need somebody talking to me like all day long, because I don't really like that. And I'm not necessarily like a small talk person either, but literally hello, like, it's just a basic thing. Like, why would you not say
Yeah.
hello to another human being? And then these are the same people that, oh, sorry. Oh, yeah,
No.
these are the same people that will, like, you try and say hello, they don't say hello to you back. And then these are the people that will complain about you. Oh, you don't say hello to anybody. Can I talk to myself though? Like,
Yeah.
I've been
That's
trying to
right.
say hello. And then you get dragged into a meeting. Like, oh, you need to be more approachable. Yeah, but I've been out here saying hello. What do you want me to do? Like, do you know what I mean?
Thank
Like,
you.
just talking to ourselves. Like,
First of all, I'm the
nah.
only Black person in this radius. Outside of me and the caretakers of the building, I'm the only Black person in this office. That's traumatic enough, first of all, when you're starting off in a workplace and you're continuously the only person of color. That has its own challenges. But the way my RSD is set up, which is rejection sensitivity dysphoria for those who are not aware, me being blanked when I say hello cuts deeper than the sword that was used to slay the dragon
50 knives.
in Game of Thrones. it's like a painful death. And
Yeah.
I used to say hello, even being blind in the lift, like there's nowhere to go. I would go in, hello everybody, and silent crickets.
Actually, it
Crickets
doesn't
in the
make any
lift.
sense to me. It doesn't take anything to say hello back.
No,
What does
just
it
Absolutely.
take? We're not going to have a conversation. I'm just saying hello. Good
I
morning.
don't even understand. Like, that's basic human decency. But then in
Yeah.
emails, you don't want to tell me, what
Yeah.
how I have to behave and how I wasn't smiling in the meeting, or
Yeah.
today I seem to be off. Well, how about you said hi to me in the lift, and then they may have given me, a bit of incentive to mask in this meeting right now. No, thank you. Yeah, no, and stop approaching me. The only first time that they would speak to you is in the canteen at lunchtime. Oh, what's that smell? Oh, wow, your food always smells good. That used to drive me mad, because every single one of them used to come and hover over my food, and I'm kind of a clean freak too. Like, they will speak over my food, gets cold.
No.
Yes, my mom says
No.
I would warm up salad if I could. And by the time everyone has come to speak to me about how good my food smells and what it is and where it comes from, I have to go warm it up 15 times. No, seriously, those are the sort of things that I would have
Wow.
to deal with. Yes, absolutely. In this corporate offices, like, I was so glad when
Yeah.
2020 happened. I said, there is a
Yes.
blessing and a curse in everything, honey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I
Mhm.
mean, the whole working and life balance thing changed completely. I was always anxious. I was always depressed. I was having panic
Yeah,
attacks.
same.
Coming into work, I will get get the tube, and I will be having a panic attack. So
Even making it to the office.
yeah, to make it into the office. And I didn't know why. I thought, well, what's causing all this stress? What's causing all this anxiety?
Mhm.
Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, my workload is not that bad. But I guess it was the environment that I was working in.
Yeah,
The team I was working with was making me feel like this, as well as other factors. But,
yeah.
once the pandemic hit and I was working fully from work, I was from home, I beg your pardon, I was I was fine. And I was at home with 3 kids.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow.
Exactly.
That's
So,
incredible.
all the panic attacks stopped, all the sadness, all the anxiety. So then
Oh,
I thought, okay, so my working pattern has to be from home from now on.
yeah.
And I
Yeah.
know it's what
Uh,
is feasible. Like, I don't need to be in the office.
no,
Mm-mm.
I don't need to be forced into a conversation about EastEnders and Love Island. I don't watch them.
That's exactly the point, though. It's like we need to feel seen, heard, valued, and respected in the workplace as a basic minimum. And the thing is, as well, being an ADHDer, it often feels like we're just on the inside looking in because we live in this neurotypical world. And I think just for me in particular, like feeling safe would just be being able to unmask in a workplace without repercussions. And it's like,
Mm.
I don't know if that place exists. Like, have any of you ever worked anywhere like that where you've been able to unmask?
No.
I worked I worked actually, well, I shouldn't say work because it initially started out as me volunteering and being on the board of a mental health agency. It was maternal mental health. And so the whole concept of the nonprofit was to help moms after birth and train more postpartum doulas of color in my city. And so I won't say that because it was a mental health agency or even because it was a nonprofit, the environment was better because I worked for plenty of nonprofits and it's no different than the corporate world. But in that particular work environment, it was different because of leadership, because the director started every meeting off with a check-in, because it wasn't just about the work, because people really were concerned about whether or not, before this meeting started, you heard about a loved one being sick or something like that. Like if the director knew something like that was going on, not to air your business, but just to say, hey, I know you've got a lot on you. Thank you for being here. Or, and it was just natural. It was natural because was like for real concerned about you as a person. So that just set the culture for the whole institution. Everybody else knew that they were cared about as a person. Also, there was no need to do any power playing because of how the director was. It was really clear that we're here to make a difference in the community. Um, I want, she was very clear about, I want everybody that works here to be as supported as our clients, which, by the way, when you're in a helping profession or in a nonprofit, sometimes the only people that seem to matter are the clients and not the people who work there and actually support the clients. And so she changed that. But it started off as me volunteering there, and then I started working there because it was the best environment I had ever worked in. Most everybody there were mental health clinicians, but they started out as social workers, got their master's degrees, and then started being counselors, right? So that inspired me, honestly, to go back and get my master's degree in social work, because I was like, oh my goodness, these people, I have never worked any place like this. This is wonderful. Yeah.
But that makes
so
sense.
that
You said mental health professionals, so it explains it. Thank God.
Look, let's not go quite that far, because I have also I interned I interned in some
Plot
places
twist.
when I was getting my master's degree, where it was mental health agency, and we were helping professions, and we were helping people who were homeless and HIV positive and sex workers.
Oh.
And so you can imagine the level of trauma and violence that our clients had seen, and you would have thought that the employees were getting help as well, right?
Yeah.
That they were getting more support, that there was extra
Absolutely.
time off and some maybe
Yeah.
a support group, and no.
Oh.
So it really all starts in any setting with leadership.
I agree. I absolutely agree. And that's why for me it's no, because never have I been able to unmask with a manager. I've never been able to unmask with a manager. With some colleagues, yes, some even became my sisters, it's just like I consider them family members, but never with a manager. And that says it all, about the just again the culture and just the level of training that they even have to be called a manager. I really, somebody needs to show me what the requirement is, to become a manager, because they're putting these people in charge of other people and they have the power to make or break them, and in most cases break them.
So, honestly, some managers are just really dangerous and it just scares me.
Oh
It
my
literally
God.
scares me. No, these people can literally destroy your whole life.
Yeah.
And some deliberately as well. I'm like, do
Yeah.
y'all go home and plan this thing? What?
Some is over their bad relationships. It could generally be over the night before with their man.
Or sometimes
Literally,
they've
and
got
they come in a bad mood and they want to make all of you pay. Yeah, no, yeah. For me, it was with them, and I'm speaking from experience. I wasn't speaking in general, but absolutely with even non-binary. Absolutely,
yeah.
So it's very scary and terrible that a manager, even in terms of firing people, it can generally be based off they're not vibing with you, so forget your job.
Hey,
That's what I want someone in the team with who I can discuss EastEnders with, generally.
That's what it means. The right person.
You're not
the right fit for this role.
Yeah,
that's what it means.
Absolutely. I feel very terrible because one of my colleagues one time, there was this workplace that I've worked the longest in my whole entire life, because Lord knows I've had over 50,000 jobs, no cap, no, I'm not even exaggerating. My real CV is over 10 pages long, but she was another Black person that joined our team. And she was telling me, this manager is racist. Our manager is racist, but I was just so happy to be there, to have a stable job. And as I said, a lot of it, the masking is very real. I feel like I always had to adapt. And because of my trauma, I was always able to, I guess, morph into what they wanted me to be. As I said, I'll pick up the feedback from candidates that had to be fired, people that they were getting in the team, even sometimes when they were placing someone in the team, the feedback that they will come and say, oh, well, in the interview, and I'll be like, oh, okay, cool. Nope. So I became like, each team that I got, I just became what they needed and what they wanted. And so she was telling me that this manager is racist, and I wasn't experiencing that for myself, or maybe I was not wanting to see it because, as I said, financial responsibilities and me not having a degree as well. I've worked my way up from nothing. I was working on commission only, and then I finally got, hired, and I was able to work my way off from experience. So I wasn't willing to jeopardize that. And when she finally left, so she quit because she couldn't take it anymore. And as soon as she left, my manager made a comment, and that's what I'm saying. I don't think that was the first time that the microaggression and the subtle racism was coming out, but that's the first time I started seeing it because someone was telling me about it up until they left. And she told me one day, no, I like your bum. I love your bum. Like, your bum is perfect. Get up. Yeah.
Stop.
Get up.
Stop.
Yeah, let me see. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's very round and it's just the size is perfect. I would love to have a bum like that. It's not like the others. Their bum are just talking about other Black people that their bum are humongous. I was thinking you're talking about my mum and the rest of my aunties.
Yes, sir.
You're literally talking about my family members. And I was just so cringe. Like at this point, it's like
it's cringing.
Everything that happened, kind of just it just came as a flashback, and I just felt so powerless because I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? I need this job. I've been fired for the thing that because I had undiagnosed ADHD. I promise you, and the anxiety that comes with that. Sometimes I was late to work. Oh, listen, I don't even know how I made it, but sometimes I was late. No one would even believe me. I was late because I had forgotten whether or not I had locked my door, and I wasn't willing to risk it because we had been robbed before.
That's the main one.
So I would
You're at the tube station and you come back home because you did not lock your door.
I planned my train to the T, so I get the last. Like, I'm not gonna go out my way to be like extra early because that drives me mad too. So I planned my route to the T. So the minute I miss that train, that's it. I'm late. It's rush hour, and so when you come back and you have to explain that. And it's like the 5th time this month or this week that you've been late for one reason or the other, or like you've missed your train or you overslept. And the thing is, I never used to sleep. Like, I used to stay up. And then just before my alarm rings, that's when I can't keep my eyes open. So again, thank God for working from home. But so many different things like that. And I could never be honest with anyone because no one would believe me when I would say. So like as I said, the work and effort that I have to put in to even sustain a job as an undiagnosed ADHDer, the interviewing, the prep, the morphing into who the team wants you to be. And after you've done all of that, which is exhausting, I'm not going to risk that job. For nobody or nothing. And like most of the time, as I said, like even if I want to change workplace, is going to be the same. I'm going to another all-white team, all-white bosses, all-white managers, and I'm gonna have to repeat this routine again. So it was honestly, it was traumatic is an understatement.
Absolutely.
These people need to pay for our therapy, I swear. Like, they need to pay for our therapy. I'm not lying. I want to ring up my old workplace.
Yeah. Reparations is the word, I swear. But yeah, she told me that my bum was perfect, the perfect size, but everybody else with these big bums was unacceptable.
That's like my
and
biggest.
I just really had to.
No, please don't talk about my bum.
Yeah, but that was a compliment.
I know, to them it's a compliment. But I mean,
I'll
for
tell
us,
you another compliment.
But you all know about the Sarah Bartman story, right? That a Black woman from the continent was put on display,
Oh, of
taken
course. Yes,
around to
I remember
circus
that.
after circus,
Yeah, I
and
remember that
because of
now.
how
Sorry.
big
Oh
her
yeah.
bum was,
Yes. Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
that's why they started wearing bustles on the back of their dresses to
Yeah.
imitate. And when she
A whole
died,
attraction park.
they still kept her body on
Yeah.
display.
Oh,
Like Madame
stop.
Yeah,
Tussauds.
Insane.
Yeah.
yeah.
Insane.
Horrible.
I have to look it up, but I think it's not that long ago where they
No, it wasn't
finally
Not
long
at
let
ago.
go
all.
of her
No.
body.
Yeah.
But she was
Not
displayed naked. She was photographed and taken
yeah.
around
Oh my
like, and
goodness.
so when
Like an
you
object.
when that is your history, I have a
Absolutely.
problem with the word microaggression
Mm.
Thank
when
you.
we're
Racism,
talking
There's
right?
about
nothing
these
macro
things.
about it.
No.
No,
Pure
there
racism.
is there is nothing micro about it. There's nothing
Mm-mm.
micro about you looked me in my face and I said good morning and you said nothing.
Yes.
Hey,
There's nothing small about that. There's nothing
that
No.
Thank you.
micro,
that part.
right? And
Ah,
how can aggression be micro?
it's not.
Yeah,
It's
You
absolutely.
know,
lethal. Wow.
it absolutely is it
Yeah,
absolutely is lethal. Yes.
Mm.
absolutely. I was not allowed to wear the same skirts that some of my colleagues were wearing because I had a bigger bum.
See, that's
Outrageous. Yeah.
Oh
No,
my
honestly, like
gosh.
it was terrible. One day I had a remark was made to me about my skirt, and I pointed out that we all have the same new look skirt. Like, oh, I
yeah.
don't want to promote them, but we had the same, you know. Oh
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
but her bum is, because of your shape when you wear. So even like dress code for work was a mind
Yeah.
f word.
No, that is
Yeah,
wild.
yeah. One of
No.
the biggest organization um that I worked for not too long ago, one of the last workplace I worked for, I was so excited to finally get a job there because it had generally been a dream. And I get there and I'm one of two Black people in the whole HR team, which is a crime in itself because of who they are. And
Jeez.
just again for swim purposes, because I'm not gonna say who they are, but like
Yeah.
just huge. And I end up working there, and the head of DEI, because they just love
Oh.
to just give that title to anyone and everyone.
To anyone.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so she was the head of DEI and talent acquisition. So talent acquisition is recruiters. And so we had a global team meeting, so a global HR team meeting. And it was the first time that I had not worn my afro. So that was post 2020. So that was the first time ever in my life I was able to wear my afro in peace in any workplace. So I did it up until the time it was time for a protective hairstyle. And the day I put my hair in braids, I get into this team meeting, it's virtual, we're all on the video, and the head of DEI tells me, "Oh, hey D, your hair's straight today."
Oh.
I said, "My hair is not straightened today, it's in braids." And I'm showing my braids, waving it to, she moved on to something else. Like, you've never addressed me, said to me that I was not, and you know how to give a compliment because you do it in this phone call, you
To
do it all
other
the time.
people.
How your hair looks nice, or oh, you changed your hair, or whatever. How your hair looks straighter today. What does that mean? So I had to call her after the meeting to check her, as we corporately, formally check her about it. And I had to apologize because she was so
What?
upset.
No.
Yeah, she was so upset that I had dared to even make that remark because it was a compliment.
No.
I said,
Set up.
sorry.
Set up.
Yeah.
Set
I
up.
said, you know how to give a
Honestly.
compliment. If I told you today your hair looks straighter today, you can't say thank you to that. What does that mean?
No. No,
And I'm
oh,
yeah.
White women
Yeah.
tears. I'm sorry, I just had to say it.
Yeah.
No.
Head
True.
of DEI.
That's why
Head
I'm
of
saying
DEI in international. No, that was the
setup. That was a setup.
Wow.
It's like,
that
how are
Mm.
you
was
crying after what happened to you? What happened to you?
Exactly.
Nah, the tears
yeah.
pissed me off
I
so
quit after
bad.
that. I've not recovered from it. I've really
No.
not
No,
recovered from that.
you
Yeah.
can't, because why are you made to apologize for something someone's being directly rude and abusive and eruptive, and then you're
I
apologizing?
wrote it down immediately. When she said it and she dismissed the follow-up because she didn't follow it up with anything, she moved on. I wrote it down verbatim with my post-it note. Hi D, your hair looks straighter today.
Mm.
So long
Mm.
story short, I ended up suing them. No, I ended up quitting and reporting it to, before I sued them, I ended up reporting it, so quitting and then opening a
dispute.
I'm forgetting everything. Yes, I opened up an internal dispute. I raised a grievance.
That's right.
And
Right.
all that I
Right.
asked was for everybody in the HR team and every hiring manager to undergo an unconscious bias training,
Oh
which is
gosh.
like the bare minimum, so that we can
Yeah.
Right.
avoid these things. Because on top of it, when I called her, I'm saying I called to check her, but initially I was calling to suck ass. Oh, I don't know if I can swear, but I was,
It's not.
I was calling to be a
Wait a
good
minute.
employee.
What?
Like, for me, I thought that I could,
Oh dear.
I thought no, but genuinely,
Is that a
I
British
genuinely felt like
term?
I could
Because we
educate her.
don't use suck ass in the United States. What does it
Well,
mean? I'm sorry.
suck. Well, actually, it's not suck ass. I changed it, but it's suck the front part.
Got it. Okay, I got it.
But
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay, I got it. I got it.
So I changed it to suck ass.
Minda offers a lot of advice on how to deal with corporate trauma, including taking the healing pledge. Have you found any ways to deal with corporate trauma?
I've not found
Never
any way.
going back to the
Still,
workplace.
still
Staying at
traumatized.
home, becoming
That's it.
self-employed.
Just
How
avoid
about
it
that?
altogether.
Yes, goodbye.
Just be broke
Going on
and traumatized.
benefits. Job seekers allowance.
Oh dear.
That's the-
Yes. Universal credit now.
Yes, you see. No, I've not, like, honestly, that's why this episode was very dear to me when I saw it. I have like stories for days, but we can't obviously explain them all. I'm sure I'll make a book about them for sure, because I've seen 10 years worth of traumatic. Oh yeah, absolutely, because I want to be able to help and share what's acceptable and what's not, because for the most part I endured without ever knowing what was acceptable, what was not, all for a job, for a paycheck, for some kind of recognition or whatever. So no, and I'm still healing from it. So I've ordered the book.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's a good one. It's so good,
I've
honestly.
ordered the book. So I'm
Good.
hoping that, because for me this is a therapy session as well, and speaking about it, making light and fun.
Of course.
But they were very, very traumatic. Like, I would lose sleep over that. I would constantly, every single morning, I would spend like all night and morning thinking about what could I say to not go into work, like generally, and then look
Yeah.
for jobs every single morning,
Absolutely.
every single day. Like, it was traumatic. And as I said, even from lunchtime, I started hiding myself in like different meeting rooms, but then I had to air them out because of course my food was seasoned.
Mm.
So no, I don't know. I would love to hear from you all. Some of you still in the workplace, but for me, I've not had a corporate job since December 2021.
Right. Okay.
Mm.
So that means you had to leave the jobs that you loved in order to,
The
right?
career that I had built my
Yeah.
whole life,
absolutely.
exactly.
And it was very traumatic because it came in the form of a burnout.
Yes, of
Mhm.
course.
And that I have not recovered from, and I was
From it.
sectioned literally, a week after.
So sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
So
So
sorry.
thank you, I appreciate it. So no.
Yes. So if I may talk about one of my closest friends, and she's given me permission to tell her story. So she worked in a corporate setting organization. She absolutely, absolutely loved this job. She loved getting up in the morning, going to work, and then, work. She worked as accounts manager. So she managed loads of different contracts and different peoples and then she's very, very good at her job. And then the employees or some of the people that she was managing decided that they weren't happy with her, and they sort of built a case against her. And she got fired. And so it began a whole level of trouble. She attempted to kill herself twice after this. And it was such a but she just she couldn't recover. So she would apply for jobs, she would go for interviews, she would get this job, and then she couldn't even start it. This is how bad in her mental health she got left, because she was basically suffering from PTSD. And she gained a lot of weight, so obviously her self-confidence completely changed. um she became morbidly obese. She developed diabetes. She developed high blood pressure. She developed a lot of things with her health, and her relationship with her husband. Everything just started to crumble and deteriorate. And she got to a point where she had like a GP appointment, and then they referred her to have like weight management program. And they decided that she could have bariatric surgery. So she went for it. She had a bariatric surgery. She lost enough weight, like loads and loads of weight. And that sort of gave her the confidence to come back. She was also going to her therapy sessions with psychiatrist and also a psychologist, and she was having CBT, or she's having a lot of counseling, and that also helped a lot. So I started taking medication. She was also didn't know that she was undiagnosed ADHD. She was undiagnosed with dyspraxia, dyslexia, and she got diagnosed when she was 37 years old. So this also kind of helped. But I mean, it was so bad, the trauma. She's now back at work as an account manager, but she works from home. And, I think what I'm telling her story is because she has managed to, go back to work and recover from this. And it's been a long, long process. So
Wow.
she went through like a 7-year process before she actually went back to the real world. Yeah. So I think that there's light at the end of the tunnel. I think, but it doesn't have to, you don't have to go through all of that. There should be ways to stop. Obviously, she also won the case because she raised the grievance and she went to court for it. So she got paid. Yeah. So she won the case. Which was another breakthrough, because she felt like, oh my goodness, my voice has been heard. She's also a Black woman.
And
Um,
reparation.
so
Wow.
as a reparation, she
Yes.
got reparations, but it took her a
Yes.
very,
I'm
very long time
glad.
to recover and go back to what she actually enjoyed.
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
Anna, I'm just gonna say this. I felt like you was talking about me. This is mad. I was trying to keep it PG. I didn't want to dampen the mood, but like it's touching home. So my last job, I was actually fired. It was a fruit whose fruit we're not gonna say whose fruit it was, but I was working for them after. So it was after the incident at that other big workplace that I quit,
Right.
after I lost the grievance and they refused to implement that training. I was
Right.
already done. And then they reached out and I thought, do you know what? The team seems amazing. Let me do it. I had tried to kill myself because I had not recovered from that previous workplace. I was so depressed that After I was unsuccessful with that attempt, I quit that job. They refused my resignation, which made me feel for the first time like, you know what, this is a dope workplace and they're really about what they're promoting, and I want to stay. So
Oh, that's
they told me,
good.
yeah, my manager had told me, oh well, my manager told me, take all the time you need off. At that point, I was on 60K per year. So I was thinking, that's a lot of money. Like, you're gonna
Yeah.
literally just tell me to take the time off and you're just paying for me to just get, well, like, go on vacation. Yeah, she was telling me to like literally go to parks, do like just live my
Joy,
best life.
money. Wow.
I was using her broker as well at the time to buy my first home. So I had all of these things on the line. She had told me that I don't know what I'm doing. Take the time, think about it. I'm about to purchase my first flat, all of these things. So I take the time off and I go to my GP to seek help. My GP stops me for 1 month. When I send that sick note, my manager doesn't respond until the 31st of December, the 30th of December, which was a day after my sick note ended. I got a phone call to tell me that I've been fired.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, I've been fired while off sick.
No, you
After
can't,
you refused my resignation
can't.
because I was burnt out and I tried to kill
What?
myself. But what I'm
There's
grateful
no
for is that
way.
hope that they've given me made me not proceed with that line and try to get help. That's when I self-diagnosed with ADHD, but
Yes.
nobody would even listen to me. So during that time, I was searching so bad for what was wrong with me, because at that point I thought I was an alien, not good,
Yeah.
and just something was utterly wrong with me.
Wrong with
And
you.
so I
Yeah.
found out, I found out about How to ADHD channel from Jessica McCabe. And I was the only one crying when I watched that video. I was like, I'm like, that's what's wrong with me. And everybody was like, can you turn this off, please? And I was like, just bawling my eyes out. So anyways, self-diagnosed, go to my GP, and it was a Black woman who refused to even give me the questionnaire for ADHD because she said I was just
No,
traumatized. Yeah.
Yeah.
From my sexual trauma.
stop,
Yeah.
stop.
She would not even give me the
That's the
questionnaire.
worst. That's the,
So,
oh, for
Literally.
goodness
so I
Yeah.
want to, I
Yeah.
want
sake.
to, I want to interject one real quick
Yes, please.
that, okay, so as a trained mental health clinician, one of the things that we learn about trauma and about ADHD is that they look so similar in your neurological function, to the point where the DSM-5, especially for children, when you're diagnosing it, says you have to exclude one or the other when you're making the diagnosis. You need to make sure that if you're diagnosing this person with PTSD, that it's not ADHD. And when you're diagnosing them with ADHD, make sure that it's not PTSD. But here's the thing, when you go a lifetime without a diagnosis, it's likely both, because you've probably been traumatized trying to
Exactly.
cope without the diagnosis and the support and the medication and
Absolutely.
the understanding. So for another person, for an actual doctor to not even listen to you. Here's the other thing. When you have
Yeah.
PTSD, you also have executive dysfunction, meaning
Very
planning,
true.
organizing, prioritizing, all the stuff we struggle with ADHD, you struggle with when you have PTSD. So either way, she should have listened. Because if you have executive dysfunction, you have executive dysfunction and you need the support.
Yeah.
You can have chronic
Absolutely.
pain and have executive dysfunction. You can have a car accident and have a brain injury and have executive dysfunction. It's not just ADHD that
Absolutely.
causes it. So if you're
Absolutely.
talking about, I am trying to adult and make it through life and I am not making it, then you should be listened to and you should be heard. It makes you
Yes.
sad.
Absolutely.
I will say the things I've done to recover from corporate trauma. One was getting mental health support for sure during that
Yes.
time and after. Also, having a good friend who regularly reminded me that I was being gaslit, that I was competent, like having almost that person that regularly reminds you that no, you're not crazy.
Yes.
And
Know
it's
that
not
that was
imposter
wrong.
syndrome.
No, right.
Mhm.
No, you were fine before you got to this job. You're an intelligent person. I had a boss that every time I wrote it, was going to write a memo that went like, we were managing a compliance program over 26 colleges. So anything that was going to go out to all 26 of the universities, she wanted to see first. And it would come back with more red on it than it had black. And I would have to call my best friend, and she would tell me, the one thing I know about you is that you're a darn good writer. You've always been a darn good writer. Don't let this person
Come
do
on,
this.
friend.
You know what I'm saying? So having someone in your corner that regularly reminds you, these are all the areas in which you're good. Also, looking at the fact that my mental, not just my mental, but all my physical health had changed as well. So checking in with my doctor regularly and recognizing that a lot of this was caused by stress. Also recognizing that before I used the term burnout, I used to call it hitting the wall, that I hit the wall. And when you hit the wall, one of the best things to do is to adjust your expectations for yourself. That was one of the harder things to do. In giving 100%, doing my best, showing up and being a rock star at work. But when none of that is valued, one of the best things I learned how to do was give less, care less, and adjust my expectations. So one of the things I tell my clients who are in burnout is, I need you to figure out what your 20% is and perform there. I need you to figure out what your 40% is and perform there. I need you to figure out your 60%. And your 60% should only show up in your office when there's one of those all hands on deck emergency, everybody, we need you. And then as soon as that emergency is over, drop right on back down to your 40%. Most of us don't even know what that looks like, because we're accustomed, especially we have ADHD, to give 100% plus, because we feel like we have to overcompensate.
Yeah.
Plus, please.
Yes,
Yes,
figure
I
out what
insist on the plus.
figure out how to function less in that work environment. One thing I noticed, I looked around, was the mediocre people had jobs for years.
Oh, they piss me off.
Years. The
The
mediocre,
T-Buck
I'm not gonna rock the
exercises,
boat. Yeah, I'm not gonna rock the boat. I'm gonna show up, but I'm not gonna show out type people had jobs for years on end. And I had to
Jarring.
learn that my best wasn't valued, so why give it? So I tell my
preach.
clients, your best hours of your day need to be for you, and not for a job that if you died tomorrow, they might not even collect money and put anything in a card for your family.
Yeah.
One of the things that hit me was, my grandfather passed, and we were in this, and I was working in this one environment, and the Black admin assistant said, I was the one that had to, she whispered, I had to buy your card, and I had to get people to put money in it. And but before I was off for my grandfather passing, I remember that one of our coworkers' dog died, and how many people were talking about it, and how many cards got rotated, and how much sadness there was in the office that her dog passed. And when I was, okay. So when you recognize that your humanity is not valued on a workspace, start your exit strategy then. Start working on your exit strategy.
Yes,
What
absolutely.
trainings do you want them to pay for before you go? How much vacation time do you have left? What are the how can you take FMLA for a stress leave if you're in the US? How do you take a stress leave if you're in the UK? Find out what you have a right to, because these people have ignored your humanity, and those microaggressions have gotten aggressive. So figure out how to take care of yourself in these environments, and then know that they don't get your best. You never get their best.
Absolutely.
Right?
You
And
don't
that
even
it's
get
a
money
job.
monetary.
You know, it's a job. This is an exchange of your labor for that money, your skills for that money, period. And
You are the
so
price.
again, when you are not valued as a human being, start your exit strategy and understand. So don't don't go into these work environments needing to be the rock star, needing to change things, needing to fix problems that have been around for a decade.
Yeah.
If they're okay with a decade-long problem, leave it. Because I promise you, you'll start out as the rock star, and then within about 3 to 6 months, you're not going to be a team player.
Yep.
You don't fit the culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's because you rocked the boat. It's because, yeah, you knew that thing was going to, when y'all first proposed it was going to blow up in 3 months. Yes. So it's learning. Also understand that regardless of what the mission and vision statement says on the website,
Mm.
your immediate supervisor is how you make it in that company. Period, point blank.
Yeah.
Understand what their priorities are. Those need to be your work priorities. Period. I don't care what the president of the company, the CEO, what they said at the last work meeting, company picnic to boost everybody up. Your supervisor sets your priorities for your work. It's just that simple.
That's true.
So that's the relationship you need to understand and maintain. Then understand what your legal rights are. Don't expect that HR is on your side, because they're not. They're there to limit the liability for the company.
Yeah.
That's
And
right.
understand that as well. So when you go into a work environment, understand that this is a contract and that you need to understand all of the fine print, and get in there and learn what the fine print is. Get in there and learn what your manager cares about. That's what you work toward doing. And then if you absolutely cannot see a way forward or a future in that company, start working on your 3 to 6 month exit strategy. And you keep doing that, and doing that until you find a place that can treat you like a human being.
Yeah.
Because they don't deserve your mental and physical health. They're never going to pay you enough money for you to even recover from what they do, right? So if they, once I figured that out and I learned how to click it down, right? If I need to be if I need superstar, rock star feedback on something, it's gonna have to be an outside project until I find a job that's worthy of my rock star ability. That's it. That's it. And those are the unwritten rules that people don't say out loud that need to be said to us. You know, women of color, Black women, non-binary people, neurodivergent people. Somebody needs to say that to us. That is how you navigate a workplace. That's how you get through this without being traumatized, right? But learn what your 20% looks like, because I guarantee you there's somebody over there that's probably been with the company 15 years, and that's all they ever give is their 20%.
That's true, because they want you
and
to
they
do
just
work
bobbing
for
right
15.
along.
They want
Thank
you to
you
do
so much, Jay.
Yeah, honestly, thank you. I needed to hear that personally.
That's the mentality.
Because workplace
That's the
resentment
mentality.
is real, you know, and then you end up being fired the way my ADHD set up, and then you're thinking all of the things that I was going above and beyond for, like nobody was paying me for that. They were paying me for 2 bullet points worth of that. Yeah.
If they don't treat you like a human being, they don't deserve your above and beyond, period. Also understand that we as women, or folks who present as women, culturally have been taught the above and beyond, go the extra mile. Please understand that that's part of what little girls get pumped up with, right? Is the above and beyond. But then they're not taking care of you. You don't make enough money to go on vacation like you should. You don't make enough money to see a therapist as often as you need to. You don't make enough money to make sure your health is okay. They don't deserve your above and beyond. Period. And here's the other thing. When Black women and those who have lived or treated like Black women, when we start to say no more often, everybody else has to work harder.
And they don't like it.
At all.
They don't like it.
But they won't appreciate you for it.
Never.
They'll still jettison you right on out that company, knowing how much work, how you held the team together, how you carried them. If that's not what you're being paid to do, don't do it.
That's right.
But the worst thing is that they know exactly that they're doing that when they're hiring certain Black folk, they know what that they're getting way more than what they're paying for,
Yeah,
and they're
absolutely.
Of
okay with
course.
that. Yeah,
Yes, of course.
that is
Yeah.
The other part of that is being in professional organizations, go to conferences, compare, talk to other people in your industry to make
Yeah.
sure you know what your value really is. It
Yeah,
feels unfair to have to do all of this just to keep a job, and it is
absolutely.
100%. But always keep in the back of your mind that you're making a profession and a career, not just this job. That's why they don't get 100%. You need some time left to maybe write an article for somebody. That's going on your LinkedIn. You need some time left to maybe give a speech about what it is you know a lot about in your area. That's going on your LinkedIn. That's building your network. You build you instead of building their company,
That's right.
period. And
Yeah.
that's the mentality
But
that you have to walk through your career with. Go ahead.
But that's why what you're saying is so important, because there's something to be said in regards to, we are typically coming with this mentality of, we are so grateful that they even picked us, that they even gave us a job, that they even gave us an opportunity, that we have that extreme gratitude already. So, again, when the imposter syndrome kicks in, because as I said, even when you're looking around, you're the only one who looks like you. You have to make up for, so you feel like you have to make up for so much. You don't feel like you could just be yourself. Like, being yourself and doing your job
Yes.
is enough. So,
Understand your industry, understand your skills and what you bring to the table. If you don't know what that is, get into some professional organizations around your industry. Talk to other people outside of your company. Always be networked well outside of your own company. Don't get me wrong, I didn't do a great job of this. I got ADHD. Managing relationships is hard, right?
Yeah.
But that's the
Mhm.
only way you can
hard.
establish, right? But that's the only way you can establish how valuable your skills are, because that company is
Yeah.
never going to
Yeah.
tell you that. Otherwise, they have to pay you,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why they can't get your 100%. You
Yeah.
have to do all of this other extra stuff because of who you are and how you walk into any work environment.
Yeah.
I wish somebody had told me that and broke that down to me at the beginning of my career, because I've left some jobs, and I left one job because I could physically see myself going across the desk at my boss, and I am not a violent person.
Mm.
And I will tell you, the only reason I didn't was because I was in New York City living at the time, and I was scared to get arrested and go to Rikers Island. So I
It's
had to
jail,
tell
man. It's
myself,
jail.
I
Literally,
had
you're gonna go
to,
to jail.
I had to
It's
tell
jail
myself
time.
that
Yeah.
I'm scared of Rikers and I don't have bail money. And
Yeah.
so at
Yeah.
that point, I got up and left, and walked out. I had to, because I knew, I'm like, I physically want to hurt this person
Yeah.
Yeah.
because of how
You're
hard
Wow.
thinking about
I
it too
work.
much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
knew, I'm like, you see how hard I work, but now you want to talk to me
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
So I had to step back and go, I can't keep being this, I
Avoid
can't
that
keep showing
orange.
up as, yeah, I can't keep showing up at work as this person. As I can't keep showing up needing their validation and
Yeah.
needing a
Yeah.
pat on the back from them and needing to recognize what I bring to the table.
Yeah.
That's something that I have to do for myself,
You need
because
to know.
they're not going to do it. They're just not going to do
Yeah.
it. So, yeah, I had to leave a workplace where the boss over the big boss will walk past me and I say, good morning.
Wow. What job was that you had? Because you said that you had to leave that job. Like, was that a job that you really, really loved, and then you had to leave it, and you felt, did you have to mourn it afterwards as well?
That was a job that took me 10 years of my career to work up to. 10
Are
years
you
of my
kidding me?
career, plus my law degree, plus traveling across the
Oh,
country and working in different places, moving to get to that point in my career. Like
Wow.
that was, yeah, yes. And
R.I.P.
it did. It took me a minute to recover from that. I
Yeah.
was only able to work part-time for like 2.5, 3 years after that.
yeah,
Kidding me.
And then left the profession completely
yeah.
because I'll tell you, I was in compliance in
Oh.
telling PhD level researchers what the legal requirements were to run their research so other people wouldn't be traumatized or hurt or injured during their research. And after a while, I was just like, I'm tired of telling these male white PhDs what they
Yep.
must do to comply and then not being backed up for doing my job. And I just got tired of being in a thankless profession because compliance can be that way. And then I got tired of not having the support of people who knew what I was saying was correct, who knew that I knew the law and I knew my job backwards and forwards. And so, I after that, I transitioned into being a business and entrepreneur coach. Then I decided to go back to school and become a mental health clinician. And I got my ADHD. Yes, and I got my ADHD diagnosis during that. So now I'm an ADHD coach. And
Excellent.
I regularly work. Yes, and I regularly work with people who appreciate me. That's
so
huge.
That's it. That's
the
it.
thing.
You found your purpose.
Can I just say one thing though? I'd wanted to say for us to normalize reporting these things, reporting these
Yes.
instances, because I
I'm
didn't know if we were going to have a
Absolutely.
question about that.
Yes.
So I really
Yeah.
wanted to talk about that because most often than not,
Please.
I've also just up and quit. When I wasn't fired, whether I was right or wrong, I would just up and quit and I would never report or make notes of all of the things. So that's when that corporate resentment comes from, that you're so disgusted that you don't even want to go back, as you said, sometimes even change profession because you're just like done. But reporting, raising grievances, like whether you don't necessarily need to go all the way to lawsuits, but you know, just making a report of that individual, that manager. Absolutely. Let that be on record, because there's so many people, and then you also find out that so many people have been reported so many times and nothing has ever been done. So you know, are literally letting these wild men like run loose, these white male terrorize everybody with all of these reports, and they still have a job, and you're firing me over so normalize that for sure. And without you know, thinking about consequences, because that is your segue to get a paycheck from a lawsuit. If they fire you for reporting, you know, something that's not correct, then that's misconduct. So that's ching ching.
Yep, log everything, keep the receipts. And I didn't keep the receipts, and I'm so mad at myself.
Yeah. There you go.
I'm so mad at myself.
Document.
Keep it all.
Yeah, document.
Oh,
yes.
do you know what? I'm like, you know, if I just sued everybody, I'd be so rich. I could just, I'd have like I could literally just go and live in another country, like have a beach house, live somewhere that's like 30 degrees right now. I'm
therapy
like, no,
paid for.
Yeah, I should be. I should have sued. I'm so annoyed.
I just want to interject
I'm definitely writing a book.
That making a complaint and then suing can also be a traumatic experience. So
very traumatic.
If you're gonna do it, make sure you got the receipts. Make sure you have support during it.
And leftover energy, because
well, that's why you learn how to click on down to your 20 and 40%, right? Because if you're giving above and beyond and you're 100%, when you walk out, you don't have anything left.
Nothing to give,
right? You have nothing left. I learn how to save your best hours of your day for you.
Yeah. No, thank you for that. That's dope. Even if you're self-employed, to be fair, like you have to think about that too, because that's the quickest way to any burnout, just doing too much.
Yourself,
yes. Yeah, I'm self-employed and I have to do that too. I have to go back and go, you did 60 hours last week? That is crazy.
Day and night.
And when I do that, I go right into my Calendly and start adjusting the next month and how many people I'm gonna see and how late I'm gonna see them.
Dates,
I'm trying to tell you, I took all my Fridays off in October because I worked way too hard in September.
Yeah, no, for sure. You gotta,
No,
for
I feel
sure.
like we've learned so much. Like we've covered, I don't even know where to
Definitely
start.
have.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I've
Yes,
learned so
been
much.
For
very,
sure.
very good session.
My
Joy,
And
gosh.
you
thank you,
really,
Anna, as well for that segment, because I don't know why I didn't think it was appropriate to speak about that. I thought it was a bit too grim, but then when you did,
No,
it let me. Yeah,
absolutely
so
not.
thank you. I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
So thanks to your friend too.
Thank you
yeah,
for sharing.
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
That's
and
the thing
Joy,
is,
people need to hear from HR, people in HR and recruiters, because that is the black hole.
Listen, that's
That's
why
what
I'm writing the
people,
book 10 years. And when
please,
I tell you the
please.
name of these companies,
I feel like there's so much learned, but one of the takeaways is that I feel like our stories will help so many people and it would just help people feel seen. And I feel like things like this aren't really spoken very often, like corporate trauma is not something that people are really talking about. And I feel like when George Floyd happened, people were talking about their experiences and that's kind of died off now. But I think people still need that reassurance, like, yo, I'm not crazy, it's my workplace. So I feel like all of our stories are so relatable. So that's what I've learned from everybody today.
yeah,
Thank you,
I agree.
Sabrina.
Thank you so much.
Is there anything that you found like really, really interesting that one of us has said? Because I feel like we've talked a lot.
Too
I'm
much.
gonna be
That's why I believe we need part 2, 3, and 4 for this, because we
Absolutely.
haven't even
Every
scratched the surface on that topic. Honestly, like I feel like it's so much more to be said. So
Mm,
well. So for
everything.
me, Joy, you talking again coming from the HR perspective, because if you work in HR and you understand what the labor laws are, and they know you understand what the labor laws are and what people's rights are, and they still treated you that way.
They
Like
still play with me.
I think people really need to hear that,
yeah,
because it's like, oh, even when you do know the rules, I'm gonna be honest, I had a law degree. They knew I had a law degree. They knew I was in
yeah.
compliance, right? And they still, like you said,
Yeah.
played with me. And
It's
my
like I
friends and
dare you.
family yeah, they used to say, do they think you got your law degree out of a Cracker Jack box? And I'm like, no. But for
No, they
them,
don't
it's
believe
about,
you.
right, but it's power. It's
Yeah.
not about, it's
White
a power
supremacy.
thing.
It is rooted in white supremacy. Like that's all I have to say about that. That's what it
Yeah.
is. You are
They can,
insignificant.
yeah, they can do and say
George
whatever they
Floyd
like.
is, yeah, absolutely. The fact that George Floyd and so many that came before him had to happen for us to even be
Yeah.
given,
Talk about
you
it.
know, the yeah, that was insane. And on top of it, they owe me money because they then used me as the little like science project to parade across every. I had to do my job and then attend all of these calls, share my experiences, tell them how they used to microaggress me so that they could just be like, oh, and do nothing about
Now
it.
think about it.
Absolutely nothing. So
Yeah.
it's really outrageous. And also they used to pay other speakers, but when it's you, they want you to do all of that
For free.
for free
oh,
all
no,
the
no,
time
no, no, no,
and
no,
still want you to hand in your work on time. So your
no.
work, like that was insane. As I said, we need part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
But but Jay, honestly, every single one of you were amazing. Jay, I don't know why you've only just come into my life with this talk, but I thank you. That 20% is noted. And as you said, therapy is a big one, but having access to is a whole nother podcast topic.
Mm.
I enjoyed every single bit of this conversation today, but one of my takeaways is the exit plan. I think that is something so important to have, like just to use all of your tools available. If you need to go on
Oh,
stress leave, if you need to go on sick leave, if you need to do any of those things to be able to take care of your well-being, go ahead and do that. And for me, that's really, really important because when I look back at certain roles that I've done in my job, because I am part of a industry where I can move around within the same organization. So when I don't like something, what I do is I just move and get a different job in a different team or a different ministerial department, and take my lessons from there. But I think that having that strategy and having that plan put in place, it's one of the things that I will, take away from this conversation. So thank you so much, Jay.
Jay, quick question
Yes.
though.
Okay.
Realistically, what does an exit plan look like? The way my ADHD, my combined ADHD setup and impulsivity ruins my life, my exit plans have always been under 24 hours. I plan for them to be a month-long next paycheck. How do you actually make that happen? Like, because we are ADHDers, 3 months, 1 month. I've never been able to do that.
So let me tell you what I've done with clients before. One was we made a 2-column list, and one was, this are your job responsibilities, this is your above and beyond. And we quite literally just spent time making that list. Then the first step was the above and beyond stops today. No more above and beyond. That was the beginning of the exit strategy. Like really being realistic. This is what they hired you for. This is the extra stuff you do. No more extra stuff. That was her way of getting closer to what her 20-40% looks like. Okay. Next, in the next 90 days, right? What's your list? What do we need to do so you can move on? Do we need to update your CV? Do we need to update your LinkedIn? Is there a certificate or something that you signed up for that your company is going to pay for? Is that in the next 90 days? Because typically that's about all you got. When people make the decision to leave, their energy changes. It just does. So then your supervisor's energy will also change. And people who are aggressors don't de-escalate. They only know how to escalate. So when you make that decision, understand you really just got that 90 days because they're only going to make it worse. This is just the
Paranoia
psychology.
Kicks in too.
Yes,
Paranoia
all of
kicks
it,
in.
all of it.
Yeah.
So I know with
Thank you.
with our executive functioning, make that list, think about it strategically, look at it often, because what's out of sight for us is out of mind. And remember that this is what I'm doing for the next 90 days, and I'm looking into my future to a point where it will be better.
Okay.
Right? Because when you know I got to save some energy to move on to someplace else because y'all don't appreciate me, that also helps you click off that 100%.
Yeah. That will slow me down like maybe 10 days. But how many of your clients make it past 10 the 10 days?
I've had a few make it past the 10 days. I've had quite a few make it the full 90, actually. Seriously.
That's dope. Okay, I need to sign up then. Give us that QR, that discount code, please. Let me sign up.
Will. I sure look, if you're the CV person now, I've got ADHD coaching clients that need help in the UK with their CV. So we need to exchange information. I know we're probably still recording, but you got people, you have skills that can help some of my people. So let's talk. We can barter. We'll figure it out.
Sure. I love it.
CV
Thank
Savior.
you.
Yeah, Joy, how can we find you? What are your socials? Tell us. CV Savior in the house.
So my Instagram it's DJ Baby Bitch. Oh, can we swear?
Yeah.
Okay. And my professional Instagram, it's only Joy Baby. It literally has it's on both. ITS. It's DJ Baby Bitch, and it's only Joy Baby. Catch me on Insta.
And Jay, what are your socials and how can we find you?
The best way to find me is my website, all things thingsjay.com, or I am starting a trauma recovery Facebook group for Black women and non-binary folks who understand what it's like to walk through life as a Black woman, and it's called Rebirth Trauma Recovery with Jay Reed. It's on Facebook. Find me. And if you do find me from this podcast, when you join, let me know, and I'll give you a special code, ADHD Babes Pod, POD, and you'll get 20% off of my first trauma recovery workshop. So please sign up. We can have conversations there in a safe space to talk about corporate trauma, to talk about generational trauma, to talk about childhood adversity and overcoming, and talk about all of our healing journey. So that's the best way to get me.
Yeah, we will sign up. We will absolutely sign up. That sounds amazing. And
Thank
Anna,
you.
Yes,
can
we
you
will.
share? We will. And Anna, can you share your socials? How can we find you?
So my socials are in Instagram. You can find me as Family Zura, Zura, or you can also find me on Facebook as Anna Zuniga, Zuniga.
Thank you so much. And me, I'm on Instagram and LinkedIn, and my handle is I am Sabrina Allen. And yeah, that's it. So thank you so much for joining us.
To support our podcast, please spread the love and share with other ADHDers. If you'd like to join ADHD Babes or learn more, you'll find the links to our website and social pages in the show notes, as well as visiting ADHDBabes.com. Thanks for listening. If you like today's episode, please feel free to follow so you don't miss future episodes. We'd be so pleased if you could leave us a rating and a review and let everyone know your thoughts. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
Thanks for listening to this episode of ADHD Babes, the podcast. If you're a Black woman or non-binary person and need help and support in managing your ADHD or advice on diagnosis, please visit ADHDBabes.com. No clinical diagnosis is required to join. Join us in 2 weeks for a new episode. Until then, all the love from the ADHD Babes team.
Just as I am, can you take me just as I am?